Letting go sounds simple when others say it. Just release, just move on, just stop caring. But when you try, your chest tightens, your mind clings, your heart resists. That's because what you're holding isn't just a situation, it's meaning. And meaning doesn't loosen on command. You don't struggle to let go because you're weak. You struggle because you care deeply. You attach with your whole being. You love fully. You hope honestly. And when something matters that much, the body doesn't know how to drop it without feeling unsafe. Most people think holding on is stubbornness, but often it's protection. If you let go, what does that say about the time you invested? The love you gave? The version of yourself who believed things would turn out differently? Letting go can feel like erasing yourself. So you replay conversations. You imagine different endings. You keep the connection alive in your thoughts because part of you believes staying attached is the only way to honor what was real. The mind says release, but the heart says not yet. Notice how your body responds when you consider truly letting go. There's fear there, not of loss, but of emptiness. Of not knowing who you'll be without this story, without this role, without this hope you've been holding like a lifeline. Here's what no one tells you. Letting go isn't about caring less. It's about caring differently. It's about allowing your love to stay without requiring pain to prove it existed. But until you feel safe enough to do that, the grip stays tight. You learn somewhere that if you stop holding on, you might lose control, or forget, or be forgotten. So your nervous system keeps you attached, not to punish you, but to protect you from another wound it doesn't believe you can handle yet. In a moment, you'll see why letting go has felt impossible and why nothing is wrong with you for that. This isn't about forcing release. It's about creating enough inner safety that letting go becomes natural, not terrifying. Stay with me. When you understand this, something softens. And when it softens, you don't have to let go anymore. It happens on its own. I want to begin by saying something very important to you. The reason letting go feels impossible is not because you are weak, and it is not because you are unwilling to heal. It feels impossible because something inside you learned that holding on was once necessary. And the body does not forget what once kept it safe. When you hold on to something, a person, a dream, a memory, you are not clinging to pain, you are clinging to meaning. You are holding the place where love lived, where hope lived, where effort lived. And meaning does not dissolve simply because the mind decides it should. So often people tell themselves they must move on, as if love were something disposable, as if caring deeply were a mistake. But I do not see it that way. I see holding on as evidence of your capacity to love with your whole being. And that is not something to shame. Your heart learned to attach, because attachment once brought warmth, identity, or belonging. When something mattered, it shaped you. It asked you to grow, to invest, to believe. Letting go can feel like undoing a part of yourself that once felt very real. I want you to notice how your body responds when you think about truly releasing something. There is often a tightening, a resistance, a fear that arrives before thought. This is not stubbornness. This is protection. Your body is asking, if I let this go, will I still be safe? You may have been told that holding on means you are living in the past. But often, holding on means you are honoring what mattered. The heart does not want to erase what was meaningful. It wants reassurance that letting go does not make that meaning disappear. Many people believe that pain comes from holding on, but often pain comes from trying to let go before the heart feels ready. When release is rushed, the body resists. When release is forced, the heart tightens. You may find yourself replaying moments, conversations, or imagined endings. This is not because you enjoy suffering. It is because part of you believes that remembering is the only way to keep love alive. That if you stop thinking about it, it might disappear entirely. I want you to hear this clearly. Love does not vanish when attention shifts. Love does not need pain to prove it existed. Love lives in who you became, not only in what you lost. Still, the heart does not trust this immediately. Trust is built slowly. And until trust is present, the grip remains. Letting go can feel like losing a story that gave your life shape, a role that told you who you were, a hope that once carried you forward. Without it, there may be a fear of emptiness, of not knowing who you are without this attachment. The unknown often feels more frightening than pain. Pain is familiar. Pain has edges you recognize. The unknown feels wide, undefined, and unprotected. So the heart chooses what it knows. I want you to stop judging yourself for this choice. It was made in love, not in fear. It was made to preserve connection, not to prolong suffering. You did not hold on because you wanted to suffer. You held on because something mattered deeply to you. And caring deeply is not something to regret. When people say, just let go, they rarely understand what is being asked. They are asking the heart to release its sense of safety without offering anything to replace it. The heart will not agree to that. Release does not begin with letting go. It begins with feeling safe enough to loosen. Your body learned that holding on kept you anchored. It does not yet know that you can be anchored within yourself. That understanding comes later, gently, through self-love. I want you to consider that what feels like resistance may actually be loyalty. Loyalty to who you were when you loved fully. Loyalty to the effort you gave. Loyalty to the version of you that believed. Letting go can feel like betrayal of that self. And the heart does not betray easily. So instead of asking yourself why you cannot let go, I want you to ask a kinder question. What am I trying to protect? When you ask this gently, the body begins to relax. Often, what you are protecting is not the situation itself, but the feeling of being connected, needed, or alive. You are protecting meaning. Meaning asks to be honored before it can be released. The heart wants reassurance that letting go does not mean the past was pointless. It wants to know that what you gave still matters, even if the form has changed. I want you to know that nothing you loved was wasted. Nothing you gave was meaningless. Every experience shaped your capacity to feel, to care, to understand. When you acknowledge this, something softens. The grip loosens just slightly. Not enough to let go yet, but enough to breathe. You are not required to release anything today. Healing does not demand deadlines. Healing responds to kindness. The struggle you feel is not between holding on and letting go. It is between fear and trust cannot be commanded. It grows when safety is felt. You may notice that the idea of letting go brings a sense of falling, of losing ground, of stepping into nothingness. This is because attachment once served as your ground. Soon, you will learn that you can stand on something steadier, your own worth, your own presence, your own self-approval. But until then, the heart holds what it knows. There is nothing wrong with this. It is part of the process. I want you to understand that letting go is not about caring less. It is about caring differently. But before care can change its shape, it must be honored in its current form. So we begin here with understanding, with compassion, with permission to stop fighting yourself. When you stop arguing with your heart, it begins to trust you again. And trust is the doorway through which release eventually passes. For now, it is enough to notice, enough to acknowledge, enough to say, I see why this matters to me. This is not weakness. This is awareness. And awareness, when met with love, always leads to healing. I want to speak now about the past, because for many people, the past does not feel like something behind them. It feels like something they live inside. And this is not because they want to suffer, but because the past once offered something, the present does not yet feel able to give certainty. The past is familiar. Even when it holds pain, it has shape. You know what happened there, you know who you were, you know what to expect. The future, by contrast, is undefined. It asks you to trust without proof. And when trust feels fragile, familiarity becomes comfort. So the heart returns again and again to what it knows. It revisits memories, conversations, images, and moments that once felt alive. Not to torture you, but to remind itself that love existed, that connection was real, that you were once anchored to something meaningful. I want you to notice how the mind moves when you feel uncertain. It often travels backward. It searches the past for answers, reassurance, or correction. It imagines different endings. It wonders what might have changed everything. This is not failure. This is the mind trying to create safety. Many people believe that revisiting the past means they are stuck. I do not see it that way. I see it as the heart resting in a place where it once felt held. The heart returns there because it does not yet feel held in the present. The past can become an emotional shelter, a place where identity formed, a place where roles were clear. You knew who you were then, someone's partner, someone's caregiver, someone with a dream, someone with a purpose tied to that story. Letting go of the past can feel like stepping out of that shelter without knowing where to go next. And the heart asks, who will I be without this? This question can feel frightening when the answer is not yet visible. So the heart stays where it knows itself. I want you to understand that this is not avoidance. This is self-preservation. The heart does not leap into the unknown without reassurance. It moves slowly, testing safety one moment at a time. You may have noticed that when you imagine a future without this attachment, there is a hollow feeling. Not because the future is empty, but because it is undefined. And undefined spaces can feel unsafe when you have learned to rely on structure. The past provides structure. Even painful memories have boundaries. They have beginnings and endings you recognize. The future has none of that yet. So the heart chooses what it can hold. I want you to stop telling yourself that you are living in the past, you are resting there. And rest is something the heart seeks when it feels tired. So many people criticize themselves for not moving on fast enough. They compare themselves to others. They believe they are doing something wrong. This self-judgment creates more tension, not more release. The heart does not respond to criticism. It responds to reassurance. When you judge yourself for holding on, you teach your body that it is unsafe to feel what it feels. And when it feels unsafe, it tightens its grip even more. I want you to begin speaking to yourself differently. Instead of saying, "Why can't I let this go?" Try saying, "I see why this mattered to me." This shift alone creates space. The past also becomes a place of safety because it carries meaning. It holds proof that you loved, tried, hoped, and showed up. Letting go can feel like losing evidence of your own depth. I want you to know that your depth does not disappear when a story ends. It lives in you now. But the heart needs time to trust that truth. Sometimes the heart holds on because it fears forgetting. Forgetting a face, a voice, a feeling, a version of yourself that existed only in that story. The heart worries that release equals erasure, but release does not erase, it transforms. Still, transformation feels threatening before it feels freeing. The heart does not yet know that it can carry appreciation without pain. That comes later. The mind often believes that if it keeps thinking, replaying, analyzing, it can somehow resolve the past. But the past does not need resolution. It needs acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is what tells the heart, you mattered, this mattered, and you still matter now. Without acknowledgement, the heart clings. With acknowledgement, it begins to soften. I want you to understand that the past is not holding you hostage. You are holding the past because it once held you. This is a very different story. The past becomes a place of safety because it does not ask you to become someone new. The future does. The future asks you to step into a version of yourself you have not yet met. And meeting a new version of yourself requires trust. Trust cannot be rushed. It grows when you feel supported, not pushed. So if you find yourself returning to old memories, do not scold yourself. Ask instead, what am I needing right now? Often the answer is reassurance, continuity, or comfort. The heart is not asking you to stay forever. It is asking you to stay until it feels ready. Readiness does not come from effort. It comes from safety. You may notice that when you imagine being supported, loved, and accepted exactly as you are, the past loosens its grip slightly. This is because the heart no longer needs to use memory as its only anchor. Self-approval creates an inner home. And when you begin to feel at home within yourself, the past no longer needs to serve that function. But this takes time. And time is not something to apologize for. I want you to forgive yourself for the ways you have stayed attached. Forgive yourself for not knowing how to release sooner. Forgiveness is not permission to stay stuck. It is permission to soften. You did not choose to hold on because you lacked strength. You held on because you cared deeply and needed safety. This is not a flaw. It is evidence of sensitivity. Sensitivity is not something to overcome. It is something to honor. As you honor your sensitivity, you may find that the past becomes less urgent, less demanding. It begins to feel like a chapter rather than a shelter. But this shift happens quietly, naturally, without force. You do not need to push yourself forward. You only need to stop pulling yourself backward with judgment. For now, it is enough to notice where you feel safest emotionally. It is enough to understand why. Understanding brings compassion. Compassion brings ease, and ease is the beginning of release. I want to speak now about your body, because your body is often the last part of you that is allowed to speak and the first part that knew the truth. Long before your mind formed explanations, your body responded. It tightened, it held, it protected, and it did so with great intelligence. Letting go feels impossible when the body does not feel safe. This is not something you can reason your way through. The body does not respond to arguments. It responds to care. It responds to gentleness. It responds to reassurance. Many people try to let go by telling themselves they should be over something. They use force, discipline, or positive thinking to push past what they feel, and the body resists. Not because it is stubborn, but because it does not yet trust that release will not lead to harm. The body remembers what it was like when you were hurt, surprised, or unprepared. It remembers moments when something was taken too quickly, when endings came without warning, when safety disappeared. It learned then that holding on was necessary. So now, when you consider letting go, the body asks, will this happen again? It does not ask in words. It asks through sensation, through tightness in the chest, through heaviness in the stomach, through fatigue that does not lift. I want you to stop seeing these sensations as obstacles. They are communication. They are the body saying, I am not ready yet. And readiness cannot be demanded. It must be earned through safety. Safety does not come from control. It comes from kindness. When you try to force release, the body tightens its grip. When you slow down and listen, the body begins to soften. This softening is not something you make happen. It is something you allow. I want you to begin noticing how your body reacts when you think about letting go. Do not analyze it, do not judge it, just notice. This noticing alone sends a message of respect. Your body has spent a long time being overridden. It has learned that its signals may not be welcome. When you begin to listen without trying to change anything, trust begins to rebuild. Trust is what the body needs before it will release anything. Many people believe that emotional release comes first and then peace follows. Often, peace must come first. The body must feel supported before it will allow old attachments to loosen. This is why rest is so important. Not rest as a reward, but rest as reassurance. Rest tells the body that nothing is being demanded of it in this moment. When you allow yourself to rest, even briefly, the body receives a message: I am not in danger. And when danger is no longer sensed, holding is no longer required. I want you to notice how your breathing changes when you feel safe. It deepens, it slows, it becomes less effortful. This is the body returning to balance. Balance does not require force, it requires permission. The body does not need you to explain why something hurt. It needs you to acknowledge that it did. Acknowledgement is healing. You may have learned to ignore physical signals in order to keep going, to push through exhaustion, to dismiss discomfort. These habits were formed out of necessity. And now they can be released gently. I want you to place a hand on your body now, if that feels comfortable. There is no right place. Just choose somewhere that feels grounding. This simple act tells your body that you are present. Presence creates safety. You do not need to relive anything to heal it. You do not need to revisit every memory. The body releases when it feels supported now, not when it is forced to revisit the past. Many people fear that if they relax their grip, they will fall apart. This fear comes from long-held tension. When tension has been present for a long time, relaxation can feel unfamiliar. But unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. When the body begins to soften, emotions may rise gently, not in a flood, but in waves. This is the body completing what it once had to pause. You do not need to manage this process. You only need to allow it. Letting go does not begin with release. It begins with safety. And safety begins with self-love. When you treat your body with respect, it no longer needs to guard so tightly. It learns that it does not have to hold everything alone. I want you to know that your body is not broken. It has been working very hard to protect you. And now it is learning that protection can come in softer forms. Gentle movement, quiet moments, warm attention, these tell the body that it can rest. As the body rests, the heart relaxes. And when the heart relaxes, the story no longer needs to be held so tightly. Release happens naturally when the body trusts that it will not be abandoned again. You are not being asked to drop anything before you are ready. You are being invited to create the conditions where readiness can arise. This is not about effort. This is about relationship. Your relationship with your body is the foundation of all healing. When you listen to your body, you listen to life. Life does not hurry healing. Life responds to love. So for now, let your body know that it is safe to feel what it feels, safe to rest, safe to wait. Nothing needs to be decided today. Nothing needs to be released yet. Your willingness to listen is already enough. And from this place of safety, something remarkable will begin to happen. What once felt impossible will start to feel unnecessary. And release will no longer feel like loss. It will feel like relief. I want to speak now about one of the deepest fears the heart carries when it considers letting go. The fear is not really about losing the situation or the person. It is about losing yourself. It is about wondering whether what you gave, what you felt, and who you were during that time will still matter if you release the attachment. Many people believe that letting go means pretending something never mattered. They fear that release asks them to deny their love, their hope, or their effort. And the heart resists this strongly because the heart knows that what mattered deserves respect. So often, when people try to let go, they feel as though they are being asked to erase a chapter of their life. To say it did not count. To move on as if nothing real happened. The heart does not agree to that, and it should not. I want you to hear this clearly. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean denying. It does not mean minimizing what you lived through. It means allowing the story to rest without continuing to wound you. What you loved was real. What you hoped for was real. The version of you who showed up fully was real. Releasing attachment does not take that away. It simply changes how you carry it. Many people fear that if they stop holding on tightly, the love will disappear. But love does not vanish when pain fades. Love becomes quieter, softer, less demanding, and more peaceful. The heart often believes that pain is proof of depth, that suffering honors the love that was once there. But love does not require suffering to remain true. Love can exist as gratitude, appreciation, and learning. I want you to begin seeing release, not as abandonment of the past, but as a shift in relationship to it. You are not throwing it away. You are setting it down gently. This fear of erasure often comes from self-blame. You may believe that if you let go, you are admitting failure, that you should have known better, that you were wrong to hope or trust, and the heart refuses to accept this story. Hope is never wrong, love is never wrong, trust is never foolish. These are expressions of openness, not mistakes. Letting go does not mean saying, I should not have cared. It means saying, I cared deeply, and I honor that. When you honor yourself in this way, something important happens. The heart begins to feel respected instead of dismissed. And respect is what allows release to feel safe. You may notice that when you imagine letting go without honoring yourself, your body tightens. But when you imagine letting go while acknowledging your love and effort, the body softens slightly. This is the difference between forced release and compassionate release. Forgiveness plays a gentle role here. Not forgiveness as forgetting or excusing, but forgiveness as releasing the need to keep the pain alive in order to justify the past. You might forgive yourself for not knowing what you know now. Forgive yourself for staying longer than you wish you had. Forgive yourself for believing things would turn out differently. Forgiveness does not rewrite history. It frees you from carrying it as punishment. You may also forgive others not to excuse their actions, but to free your own heart from remaining bound to the moment of hurt. Forgiveness is something you do for yourself, not for anyone else. As forgiveness begins to soften the emotional charge, memories lose their sharpness. They remain, but they no longer pull at you. This is not erasure, this is peace. I want you to understand that identity does not disappear when a chapter ends. It evolves. You are not less because something is over. You are more because you lived it. The heart often fears that without the story, there will be nothing left. But what remains is wisdom, sensitivity, strength, awareness. These are not small things. Release does not empty you. It clears space. Space allows new experiences to enter, not as replacements, but as continuations of who you are becoming. You are not being asked to forget who you were. You are being invited to include who you are now. Many people hold on because they believe pain is the last connection to what mattered. But connection does not need pain to exist. Connection can live as remembrance without suffering. You can remember without reliving. You can appreciate without aching. You can honor without holding tightly. This is caring differently. Caring differently does not mean caring less. It means caring in a way that includes you. As you allow this understanding to settle, you may feel a gentle sadness, not despair, but tenderness. This sadness is part of release. It is the heart acknowledging that something mattered and that it is safe to let it rest. Sadness does not mean you are going backward. It means you are softening. Softening allows life to move again. You do not need to rush this process. You do not need to declare closure. Closure happens naturally when peace arrives. I want you to remind yourself that you are allowed to keep what was good without carrying what hurt. You are allowed to integrate rather than erase. This is maturity of the heart. Letting go is not losing yourself. It is choosing not to punish yourself for loving. And when you understand this, the grip loosens, not because you force it, but because it is no longer needed. You are not betraying your past by releasing attachment. You are honoring it by allowing yourself to live fully now. The heart begins to trust that it can carry meaning without carrying pain. And when that trust is present, release feels natural. Nothing is taken from you. Something is returned to you, your freedom. And that freedom does not erase who you were. It allows who you are to breathe. I want to speak now about what happens when you stop trying to let go. This may sound surprising, because so much of what you have been told suggests that release is something you must do, decide, or accomplish. But true letting go does not arrive through effort. It arrives through relief. When the heart feels understood, when the body feels safe, when meaning has been honored rather than dismissed, something inside you relaxes. And when it relaxes, the grip loosens naturally. Not all at once, not dramatically, quietly, almost without notice. You may one day realize that you are not thinking about the story as often, or that when it appears, it no longer pulls you under, or that you can remember without tightening. This is not something you made happen. It is something that happened because the conditions were right. Letting go is not an action. It is a response. The heart does not need to be pushed into release. It needs to feel that it will not be left alone afterward. When you begin to offer yourself steady kindness, the heart no longer needs to cling for reassurance. You may notice that the energy you once spent holding on becomes available for living. You feel more present, more grounded, more here. Not because you forced yourself forward, but because you are no longer being pulled backward. This is how freedom feels. It is not excitement. It is ease. Many people expect letting go to feel like relief mixed with sadness, and sometimes it does. But often it feels like space, like quiet, like breathing without effort. It feels ordinary in the best way. I want you to know that when letting go happens on its own, it does not erase love. It does not deny what mattered. It simply allows love to stop hurting. Caring differently becomes natural. You still care, but without strain. You still remember, but without ache. You still honor, but without sacrifice. This is not forgetting. This is integration. Integration means the experience becomes part of you rather than something you carry in front of you. It settles into wisdom instead of pain. You may notice that your identity feels less tied to what you lost and more connected to who you are becoming. This does not mean the past was unimportant. It means it no longer defines your present. When you stop identifying yourself by what ended, you make room to identify yourself by what is alive now. I want you to understand that nothing meaningful leaves you when you let go. What leaves is the tension, the vigilance, the need to hold something in place so it does not disappear. What remains is you. You may find that you no longer need to explain your healing. You no longer feel the urge to justify how long it took. You simply live, and living feels lighter. This is not indifference. This is peace. Peace does not numb you. It frees you. When letting go happens naturally, you do not feel like you have lost control. You feel like you no longer need control. You trust life to move without your constant holding. Trust replaces effort. I often remind people that life loves us, and life responds when we stop bracing ourselves against it. When we soften, life meets us with softness. You may notice that opportunities appear differently now, not because you chase them, but because you are available. Your energy is no longer tied up in holding the past together. Availability is magnetic. Life moves toward openness. You may also notice that your relationship with uncertainty changes. You are no longer frightened by not knowing. Not knowing feels like possibility rather than threat. This is a great shift. You do not need to fill every empty space. Empty space is where new life enters. The heart often fears emptiness because it confuses emptiness with loneliness. But emptiness that follows release is not loneliness, it is openness. And openness allows joy to arrive quietly. I want you to trust that you will recognize when letting go has happened. You will not need to announce it. You will feel it in your body, in your breath, in the way you respond instead of react. You may notice that you stop checking whether you are over it. You simply are. Release does not need proof. You are not required to reach a final state. Healing continues to unfold, but the struggle ends when resistance ends. You have not failed because letting go took time. You honored what mattered, and that honoring made peace possible. Letting go did not take anything from you. It gave something back, your energy, your presence, your freedom to live fully now. I want you to appreciate yourself for staying with the process, for not abandoning yourself, for listening instead of forcing. This is true strength. As you move forward, you may still remember. Memory is not the enemy. Memory without attachment is simply history. It informs you without controlling you. You carry lessons now instead of wounds. You are not walking away from your past. You are walking with it, gently, without letting it lead. This is balance. You may notice that gratitude begins to appear naturally, gratitude for what was good, gratitude for what you learned, gratitude for who you became through the experience. Gratitude is not denial of pain, it is acknowledgement of growth. When gratitude arrives, release is already underway. I want you to trust this process. You do not need to hurry it, you do not need to measure it. You only need to continue being kind to yourself. Kindness creates safety. Safety allows release. Release restores peace. This is the order of healing. And now, as you sit with this understanding, you may feel a gentle sense of completion, not an ending, but a settling. A sense that you are no longer fighting yourself. This is the moment when letting go stops being a goal and becomes a byproduct of self-love. You did not lose anything by caring deeply. You gained the capacity to love honestly. And now you are free to carry that love forward without pain, without strain, without fear. This is what it means to let go naturally. Life loves you. And you are learning to trust that love. Let us stay here together for a while. There is no need to move quickly now. Nothing is asking you to hurry. You have done something very kind for yourself by staying present, by listening, by allowing understanding to unfold instead of forcing an ending. This moment is meant to be spacious. You may notice that there is less urgency inside you now, less pressure to decide, to explain, or to resolve. This is not because everything is suddenly clear, but because you are no longer fighting yourself. And when the struggle ends, even briefly, peace has room to enter. I want you to understand that what has happened here is not dramatic, but it is real. Healing rarely announces itself with certainty. More often, it arrives as relief, as softness, as the absence of tension you had grown used to carrying. You are not required to feel light or joyful right now. Stillness is enough. Quiet is enough. Rest is enough. For a long time, you believed that holding on was the only way to stay connected to what mattered. You believed that if you loosened your grip, something essential would disappear. And now you are learning something new, that what is real does not vanish when you stop holding it tightly. What is real stays with you. It stays in the way you love. It stays in the way you notice. It stays in the way you are gentler with yourself now. You did not lose anything by letting go. You returned something to yourself, your breath, your energy, your presence in this moment. I want you to stop looking for proof that you have healed. Healing is not something you must verify. It shows itself quietly over time in how you respond to life, in how you treat yourself when you feel unsure, in how you pause instead of pushing. There may still be moments when old memories arise. This does not mean you have gone backward. Memory is not the same as attachment. Memory can visit without staying. When memories come now, you may notice they feel different, less sharp, less demanding. They pass through more easily. This is a sign that the heart feels safe. Safety is what the heart needed all along. I want you to trust that you do not need to manage your healing. You do not need to watch yourself closely or correct every feeling. That kind of vigilance belongs to fear. Healing belongs to trust. Trust grows when you treat yourself with kindness, especially when you are uncertain. You may notice that you are less interested in judging your progress. You no longer ask yourself how long it should take or whether you are doing it right. You simply live, and living is where healing completes itself. You are allowed to enjoy moments of ease without questioning them. You are allowed to rest without earning it. You are allowed to feel peace without understanding exactly why. Peace does not need explanation. As you move back into your life, carry this with you gently. You do not have to let go again. What has softened does not need to be forced. It will continue to release naturally as you continue to be kind to yourself. Kindness is not weakness. It is strength that does not need armor. You have spent enough time protecting yourself through holding. Now you are learning to protect yourself through presence. Presence feels different in the body. It feels grounded. It feels steady. It feels like being here instead of somewhere else. Each time you return to the present moment, you reinforce safety. And safety allows life to flow. I want you to notice how your body feels when you tell yourself it is safe to be here. These words are powerful. They calm the body. They reassure the heart. You are not late to your life. You are not behind. You have not missed anything essential. Everything you have lived has prepared you for this gentler way of being. You may still feel moments of sadness. Sadness is not failure. Sadness is love changing form. Let it pass through without judgment. You may still feel moments of longing. Longing is not attachment. It is remembrance without grip. You do not need to suppress any of this. You only need to allow it without turning it into a struggle. I want you to know that you are no longer required to carry pain in order to honor love. Love does not ask for sacrifice once the lesson has been learned. The lesson was not loss. The lesson was self-worth. The lesson was learning that you are safe within yourself. Now that you are beginning to feel that safety, life responds differently. It meets you with ease instead of resistance. You may find that new interests appear naturally, new curiosities, new directions. These are not replacements. They are expressions of your expanded self. You are not filling a void. There is no void. There is space, and space is fertile. I want you to trust space. Space allows breath. Space allows movement. Space allows life to surprise you gently. You do not need to rush into the next chapter. Chapters begin when you are ready, not when you force them open. You are allowed to linger here in this place of understanding for as long as you like. You are allowed to live without constant self-examination. You are allowed to enjoy moments without asking what they mean. Meaning reveals itself naturally when you stop chasing it. As you go forward, remember this above all else. Nothing is wrong with you for having held on. Nothing is wrong with you for taking time. Nothing is wrong with you for caring deeply. Your sensitivity is not something to overcome. It is something to honor. Honor creates peace. Peace creates freedom. Freedom allows love to move without pain. You have not lost your capacity to love. You have refined it. You have not erased your past. You have integrated it. You have not let go of yourself. You have returned to yourself. And that is the most loving release of all. Take one more gentle breath now. Let it move through you without effort. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw relax. Let your body feel supported. You are here. You are safe. You are enough. Life loves you. And you are learning quietly, naturally, to trust that love. Let us rest here now without trying to understand anything further. You do not need more answers in this moment. You do not need clarity, resolution, or certainty. You only need permission to be exactly where you are, exactly as you are. And that permission has already been given. You may notice a quiet inside you now, not emptiness, but openness, a space where there used to be pressure. This space is not something you created. It appeared when you stopped pushing yourself to change, when you stopped demanding release, when you allowed understanding to arrive instead of forcing it. This is how healing moves gently when it is welcomed. For so long, you believed that holding on was the only way to remain connected to what mattered. You believed that if you loosened your grip, you might lose something essential. And now you are discovering something very tender. What is real does not require strain to stay with you. What is real lives inside you now. It lives in your awareness. It lives in your capacity to feel. It lives in the way you are softer with yourself than you once were. You did not abandon your past by allowing peace. You honored it by no longer using pain as proof of love. I want you to know that you are not required to carry the weight of what happened in order for it to have mattered. Meaning does not disappear when suffering ends. Meaning deepens when suffering is released. You may still remember. You may still feel tenderness. This is not attachment returning. This is integration completing itself. Integration feels calm. It does not pull. It does not demand. It simply exists as part of you. I want you to stop checking yourself now. Stop asking whether you have truly let go. Stop watching your thoughts for signs of progress. Healing does not need supervision. It unfolds naturally when it feels safe. And safety comes from self-approval. Self-approval does not mean you agree with everything that happened. It means you agree to stop punishing yourself for being human, for loving, for hoping, for staying as long as you did. You are allowed to approve of yourself now, without conditions. You may notice that your body responds immediately to this idea. There is a softening, a release of effort. The body recognizes kindness as truth. Your body has always wanted ease for you. It has always wanted rest. When you stop fighting your own process, the body sighs in relief. Let that relief be enough. You do not need to transform your life overnight. You do not need to make new plans or set new goals. Healing is not asking for movement right now. It is asking for gentleness. Gentleness allows life to rearrange itself without force. You may begin to notice small changes in the days ahead. A lighter reaction, a quieter thought, a moment where you choose not to revisit something that once consumed you. These are not things you must celebrate or analyze. They are simply signs that the heart feels safer. Safety is the soil in which release grows. I want you to trust that what is leaving your life does so because it is complete, not because it failed, not because you failed. Completion is not rejection. It is fulfillment in a new form. You are not losing parts of yourself as you let go. You are reclaiming them. The energy you once spent holding something together is now available to support you, to nourish you, to keep you present. Presence feels different than attachment. Presence feels steady. It feels rooted. It does not pull you backward or push you forward. It holds you here. And here is enough. You may find that you no longer feel the need to explain your healing to anyone, not because you are hiding, but because it no longer requires validation. When peace arrives, it does not ask to be defended. You are allowed to keep this peace quietly. I want you to know that life is not waiting for you to be finished before it supports you. Life supports you while you are becoming, while you are unsure, while you are resting. Life does not rush you. You have spent enough time measuring yourself against expectations, your own and others. You no longer need to prove that you are healing correctly. There is no correct way to soften. Softening happens when you stop holding yourself rigid. You may still encounter moments that stir old feelings. This does not mean you have gone backward. Healing is not a straight line. It is a deepening relationship with yourself. Each time you meet an old feeling with new kindness, you change your future. This is real work, quiet work, lasting work. I want you to release the idea that letting go is something you must repeat again and again. What has softened does not harden easily when it has been met with love. Love stabilizes change. As you continue forward, remember this: you are not required to know where you are going in order to be safe. Safety comes from how you treat yourself, not from certainty. You are allowed to walk into the unknown without punishment. You are allowed to trust that life will meet you as you go. You are allowed to feel peace even if some questions remain unanswered. Questions do not block peace. Resistance does, and you are no longer resisting yourself. Take a gentle breath now and feel the support beneath you. Notice how your body holds you without effort. This is how life holds you, too. You are not alone in your process. You never have been. Life has been listening to you all along, even when you did not know how to listen to yourself. Now you are listening, and that changes everything. You are safe to live. You are safe to feel. You are safe to let life move forward. Nothing essential has been lost. Something essential has been returned. You. Life loves you. Let us pause here together without needing to name what has happened. There is a kind of understanding that does not arrive through words. It arrives through settling, through the body realizing that it no longer has to brace itself, through the heart recognizing that it is no longer being asked to give up anything in order to be at peace. You may notice that nothing inside you is asking for more right now. No answers, no explanations, no next step. This is not emptiness. This is satisfaction, the quiet kind that comes when something has been heard all the way through. I want you to know that this quiet is meaningful. It is the sound of effort falling away. It is the sound of your inner world no longer being pulled in different directions. It is the sound of agreement, returning agreement between your thoughts, your body, and your heart. For so long, part of you believed that peace would only come after everything was resolved, after every feeling was explained, after every attachment was released completely. And now you are discovering something gentler. Peace comes when you stop fighting where you are. You did not arrive here by forcing yourself to let go. You arrived here by allowing yourself to feel understood. And understanding is what the heart has been waiting for. I want you to stop asking whether you are finished. Finished with healing, finished with the past, finished with pain. Healing does not move in straight lines with clear endings. Healing moves in layers. And each layer completes itself when it is ready. What has completed now is struggle. You are no longer struggling with yourself. This does not mean life will never challenge you again. It means you no longer meet challenge by turning against yourself. And that changes everything. You may still remember what you have lived through. Memory does not disappear. But it no longer needs to carry weight. It can exist without demanding your energy. It can sit quietly in the background while you live. This is not forgetting. This is integration. Integration feels calm. It does not rush you forward or pull you backward. It allows you to be here present, grounded, and whole. I want you to know that you have not lost your depth by softening. You have not become indifferent by releasing tension. You have not become careless by choosing peace. You have become kinder to yourself. And kindness is the most powerful form of healing there is. You may notice that you no longer feel the need to revisit certain thoughts, not because you forbid yourself, but because they no longer ask for attention. When the heart feels safe, it does not repeat itself. Repetition comes from being unheard. Peace comes from being acknowledged. You have acknowledged yourself now. I want you to trust that this acknowledgement continues even when you are not thinking about it. It lives in your body. It lives in the way you breathe. It lives in the way you pause instead of push. You do not need to remember this understanding consciously. It will remember you. As you move back into your life, you may feel a sense of simplicity. Things feel less dramatic, less charged, less heavy. This is not because life has changed. It is because you have stopped carrying it in a painful way. You are allowed to enjoy this simplicity without questioning it. You are allowed to feel well without explaining why. You are allowed to be peaceful even if some parts of your story never made sense. Peace does not require answers. It requires acceptance. And acceptance begins with yourself. I want you to release the belief that you must keep working on yourself in order to deserve ease. You are not a project. You are a living being. And living beings heal best when they are treated with care. Care looks like patience. Care looks like rest. Care looks like letting things be as they are for a moment. You are allowed to let things be. You may notice that your body feels heavier in a pleasant way, now grounded rather than tense. This is your body recognizing that it no longer needs to stay alert, that nothing is being demanded of it. Your body knows when it is safe, and safety is what allows life to flow again. I want you to trust that you will recognize what belongs to you as you move forward. You do not need to chase it. What belongs to you arrives without force. Force was never the answer. Gentleness has always been the way. You have spent enough time holding yourself together. Now you are learning how to support yourself instead. Support feels different. It does not tighten. It steadies. When you support yourself, you stop asking life to prove that it cares. You begin to feel that care naturally. Life has been responding to you all along, even when you were confused, even when you were holding on, even when you did not know how to let go. Nothing was wasted. Everything you lived brought you here to a place where you no longer need to argue with yourself in order to feel safe. This is not the end of your journey. It is a different way of traveling. From here, you move with less resistance, with more trust, with a deeper sense that you are allowed to be human without punishment. You do not need to protect yourself from life. Life is not against you. Life is responding to how you treat yourself. And now you are treating yourself with kindness. Take a gentle breath now and let it move through you without effort. Feel how your body receives it. Feel how nothing inside you is being asked to change. This is enough. You are enough, and you always have been. Life loves you. Let us remain here together a little while longer. There is no need to rush away from this space. Nothing is calling you urgently. Nothing is being asked of you. You are allowed to linger in this feeling of quiet understanding, because understanding has its own rhythm, and it does not respond well to being hurried. You may notice that something inside you has settled. Not everything, not forever, but enough. Enough to feel that you are no longer bracing yourself. Enough to feel that you are no longer arguing with your own heart. And that is a very real change. For so long, you believed that holding on was necessary in order to survive. You believed that if you loosened your grip, something precious might disappear. You believed that effort was required to keep love, meaning, and identity intact. And now you are discovering something much kinder. What is real does not need to be held tightly to remain real. What is real stays. It stays in the way your heart opens. It stays in the way your awareness deepens. It stays in the way you are beginning to trust yourself again. You did not come here to erase your past. You came here to stop punishing yourself for having one. I want you to understand that nothing you lived through was a mistake. Nothing you felt was wasted. Every attachment, every hope, every effort shaped your capacity to feel deeply. And feeling deeply is not something to recover from. It is something to respect. When you stop trying to force yourself to let go, something surprising happens. The tension you have been carrying begins to dissolve on its own. Not because you decided it should, but because it no longer needs to protect you. Protection changes when safety arrives. Safety does not come from certainty. It comes from self-approval. Self-approval is the quiet decision to stop fighting yourself, to stop correcting your feelings, to stop demanding that your heart move faster than it is ready to move. I want you to feel how different that is. When you approve of yourself, your body responds immediately. Your breath deepens, your shoulders soften, your inner world becomes less crowded. This is not imagination. This is alignment. You have spent enough time being vigilant, watching yourself, monitoring your thoughts, wondering whether you are healing correctly. That kind of watchfulness belongs to fear, not to love. Love rests. And now you are learning how to rest inside yourself. You may notice that you are no longer searching for a moment of closure. Closure is something the mind wants. Peace is something the heart recognizes. Peace arrives quietly, often without ceremony, and says, you don't have to carry this anymore. When peace arrives, it does not erase memory. It removes weight. Memory without weight becomes wisdom. Wisdom does not pull you backward. It supports you as you move forward. I want you to trust that you are not losing anything essential as you soften. You are not becoming less careful, less loving, or less aware. You are becoming more present. Presence is where life meets you. Life cannot meet you in the past. Life cannot meet you in imagined futures. Life meets you here. And here is safe. You may still feel moments of sadness. Sadness is not a sign that something is unfinished. Sadness is often the heart's way of honoring what mattered. Let it pass through you gently, without turning it into a reason to tighten again. You may still feel moments of longing. Longing does not mean you need to go back. It means you remember with tenderness instead of desperation. This is progress, even if it does not feel dramatic. Healing rarely feels dramatic. Healing feels like relief you almost miss because you are no longer suffering in the same way. I want you to stop measuring yourself against where you think you should be. There is no correct pace for the heart. There is only honesty, and you have been honest. Honesty does not demand outcomes. It creates trust. Trust is what allows life to move again. When you trust yourself, you stop trying to control how healing unfolds. You stop gripping your process. You allow understanding to deepen naturally in its own time. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not doing this wrong. You are learning how to live without tension being your guide. That is a profound shift. I want you to notice how your body feels right now. Not to analyze it, just to notice. The body knows when it has been heard. It knows when it is no longer being asked to hold everything together alone. Your body has carried you faithfully through every chapter of your life. It has adapted. It has protected. It has waited. And now it is learning that it can rest. Rest is not weakness. Rest is trust made visible. You do not need to earn rest by suffering first. You are allowed to rest because you exist. This understanding changes how you move through the world. You may find that you speak more slowly. You may find that you decide less urgently. You may find that you pause before saying yes or no. These pauses are not hesitation. They are respect. Respect for your feelings. Respect for your body. Respect for your own timing. You have spent a long time believing that letting go required courage, and now you see that letting go requires safety. Courage follows naturally when safety is present. You are no longer asking yourself to leap into the unknown without support. You are learning how to carry support within you. This is self-love in action. Self-love is not a feeling you must generate. It is a relationship you build by how you treat yourself in moments of uncertainty. Each time you choose kindness instead of criticism, you strengthen that relationship. Each time you allow yourself to be human without punishment, you heal something old. You are not required to be finished with your story. Stories evolve. They change shape. They lose their sharp edges. They settle. What once felt like something you had to survive now feels like something you lived through. That difference matters. I want you to trust that life will continue to meet you with opportunities for softness, opportunities for clarity, opportunities for joy that does not ask you to prove anything. Joy does not replace what you lost. Joy coexists with what you lived. There is room for both. You do not need to guard yourself against happiness. Happiness does not betray your past. It honors your resilience. I want you to know that nothing about your sensitivity is a problem to be solved. Sensitivity is your ability to notice life deeply. When it is supported by self-love, it becomes wisdom rather than pain. You are learning how to support your sensitivity now, and because of that, you no longer need to hold on in order to feel safe. Safety lives inside you. As you move forward from this moment, you do not need to carry these words consciously. They have already found their place. They will surface when you need them, in a pause, in a breath, in a moment when you choose not to push yourself. You are allowed to forget everything and still be changed. Change that is real does not depend on memory. It depends on how gently you treat yourself when no one is watching. I want you to end this time not with effort, but with gratitude. Gratitude for yourself, for your willingness, for your patience, for staying with your heart instead of abandoning it. You have done something very loving, and that love does not end here. It continues quietly, faithfully, as you live. You are safe to move forward. You are safe to rest. You are safe to let life unfold without gripping it. Nothing essential has been lost. Everything essential has been carried forward. You, life loves you.